What's up, guys? It's Paul from Boosted Films, and I'm going to try to do a quick kind of video blog update. You know, typically it's all been about the silver rusty Evo, but I had some issues with the black Evo the other day. So I'm going to go through those and just do an update on that car. First thing that happened to me, and it's probably a common issue on the Evos, is the dipstick likes to pop out of the dipstick tube. And I had been just doing the normal zip tie thing in case, you know, whenever I went to go race it, of course, especially, I would make sure I'd have it zip tied. But you always have to then zip tie it down and cut the zip tie every time you want to check your oil. So what I did is I was just like, well, I used a vice grip and I just tightened down the tube a little bit onto the dipstick itself. But I guess that probably wasn't the best solution because I actually broke the dipstick handle itself. It just broke off. Maybe it was just old anyway, but you know, it made it fit tighter, so it was harder to pull it out. Took care of that. I got a brand new OEM dipstick, another OEM part you can actually get. That's not the most expensive. So I got that easy fix on that. The next thing that actually happened is I took the Evo for a bit of a road trip, the black Evo again. I took that one for a bit of a road trip, and it's funny that I had just made a video about the exhaust and comparing the exhaust, because what ended up happening to me is I drove over a good 100 miles, car was fine. But then on the trip back home, right after I stopped to get gas, I got on it, I was getting on, you know, hit pretty much full boost, and all of a sudden I hear kind of a pop, and then I hear ding, 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 and something's rattling. And I'm like, this isn't good. But of course, I'm in the middle of the road. I was actually about to get on the highway. Luckily, I wasn't on the highway. And so I had to get to where I was in a safe spot. And in the process of doing that, what I didn't know at the time, but what happened was that, again, the muffler slipped out of the slip joint in the back. So it was just hanging down, dragging on the road. And unfortunately, because I kind of had to stop and wait for cars before I could get to a spot that was fine, it ended up catching somehow enough where it like caught and tried to bend up, and then it kind of messed up my back bumper. Unfortunately, it screwed up the paint on my back bumper a little bit, and the exhaust itself, the hanger was broken a little bit. The back bumper cover is where it messed up the paint, is what I should say. But then also it bent up the back bumper, like the actual metal bumper got bent up, which is a little bit crazy that could actually happen. So this exhaust, the one thing I didn't really like about this exhaust from the get-go is there is no flex pipe really in this, so it's all pretty solid. So a lot of stuff can kind of work its way loose after a time, but so it could have just been my fault too. I don't know if I didn't have that slip joint tight enough, but it's been on there and that slip joint itself for the muffler has not been touched since the car was finished, and that was like 4 years ago. But that definitely makes me think of one of those things where, you know, if you don't own an Evo and something like this happens, you're explaining it to someone and they're like, your muffler fell off, and you're like, yeah, that happens. But anyway, Evo problems, I guess, or maybe just idiot problems on my end. So that was one thing that I had to fix, and I got it realigned. I got the muffler put back on, and took it for a drive now. It seems fine. I'm obviously going to keep an eye on it. I'm going to check it. I'm going to check that slip joint a bit more often, make sure it's not working itself loose, and maybe I'll just actually redo that in the future as well. One other item I did to the black Evo is I finally changed the shifter shaft bushings, if you will. I believe that's what they're called, from Ross Sport. So I changed those bushings out and got rid of the OEM plastic one. I'm not making a full how-to on that, but I do have a how-to on changing shifter bushings if you're actually interested. So this would go right along with that. You could watch that how-to, and then you can get an idea of how to actually change those bushings. So I changed that shaft bushing, and as you can see, it's a lot different from the OEM one. The OEM one didn't really wrap around the shaft itself, so it kind of just allows for some more slop. So I spent some time installing that, and, you know, being honest, I don't notice any difference, but that's kind of to be expected. I think with something like that, it's not something you're necessarily going to notice a lot of a difference on, but again, hopefully it technically is still getting rid of some shaft play and making it a little bit sharper shifting, but this car already shifted really well, so it just a thing to improve. And also, while I was in there, it was a good chance to check the shifter bushings themselves and get them loosened up, making sure they're not getting seized. Sometimes I like to just be able to touch parts that haven't been touched in a while. Same thing went with the back bumper. Some of those bolts hadn't been removed in a while. I like to put a little anti-seize on them, make sure they don't get rusted up, stuff like that. And on a final note, one thing I want to do to the Black Evo yet is I think I actually want to remove the boosted fab lower bar, front center member, cross member bar, roll stop, whatever you call it. Mainly because I do mostly street driving with this car now, and it's another thing I didn't really notice a huge improvement on when it came to shifting and stuff like that. And all it does for me right now is, ever since I've installed that, is I get this slight rattle. It only lasts for a little bit, but between 2,500 RPMs or right around 2,500 RPMs, like every time, it just goes bzz, 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 and it's just annoying. It's a little thing that I find annoying and want to fix. So the easiest fix for that, I'll probably just put the OEM piece back in and then potentially sell that one. I had reached out to them and asked them if any other people had experienced this, and they said no, it doesn't sound like it's a real common thing. So it might just be a combination of whatever I have in my car. I think it's actually even like a window thing where it sounds like almost a window is rattling in my car, so it really might be something that doesn't even have anything specifically to do with that bar as much as the combination of having that bar in along with whatever's like loose in my window or something in there. But either way, for me, the easiest fix might just be to get rid of that and sell it and then just go back to the OEM piece or something. I also know, or I believe now, they changed the hardness of the bushings too, so I could potentially try a not as hard of a bushing. But if you have that boosted fab bar, let me know if you experience any extra like rattling or especially specific RPM rattle. Let me know, because I'm curious if anyone else is dealing with that. Silver Evo is still here. No one bought it. It's fine with me. Not really pushing it to sell it, but it's still for sale if someone actually gave me the money that I wanted for it. And I think that's about it. So hope you don't mind this quick and dirty video blog style video. As always, I'm on social media. Follow me on, the other platforms. Give this video a like. I never say that, so whatever. Don't like it if you don't want to. But that's it. As always, this is Paul from Boosted Film saying thanks so much for watching.